Hey everyone, my name is Jessica Wilson and I'm with Ouachita Valley Federal Credit Union, and we are here for our second podcast. And today I have a special guest with me, Mr. Carey Albritton with the Ouachita Parish Sheriff's Department. And we're going to talk about a few things today that's very relevant in our community. I feel like it can, relate to everyone. You know someone who's been involved in this. You know someone who unfortunately has had a situation. So we're going to talk. I'm going to let Carey introduce himself and kind of give a little bit of background of where he's from and what he does. And then we'll just dig into the conversation.
Yeah, I'm Investigator Carey Albritton with the Sheriff's Office. I've been at the Sheriff's Office for 9 years, up in investigations for 2 years, where I investigate financial crimes. And of course, financial crimes involves different types of scams. And I enjoy what I do.
You stay pretty busy, I'm sure, unfortunately.
Yes, absolutely. There's so many different types of scams out there that keep me busy.
Right. Well, the one thing that I wanted to talk about and kind of start the conversation is what we're seeing at the credit union, what we're seeing in the community, and what is really affecting our members and just, in general, everyone. And the first thing that I want to talk about is identity theft. Mm-hmm. We try to educate our members on the importance of taking care of their information, whether it be their account numbers, their social security numbers, driver's license numbers. And we're seeing a huge increase in, our members calling saying, I didn't do this. How did they get my information? So what are some ways that people can protect themselves from becoming a victim of identity theft?
Well, it's important to know that when the DMV was breached a few years ago,
yes,
that all of our information's out there. So it's in the dark web, black market, whatever you want to call it, for purchase. The important thing that we need to do to protect ourselves, and what I tell everybody, is you do not run your credit every day to freeze your credit. Go through all three major credit bureaus, Equifax, TransUnion, and Experian, and freeze your credit. That way you are protecting yourself from any new inquiries being made on your credit report. I've done that. I did that when the breach happened several years ago.
And that's just one breach. I know there's been several.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. And you can... I say do that. That way you have that security blanket to know that if your credit's being run for a credit card or anything like that, it'll get stopped. It should get stopped. Nothing's 100%. But it should get stopped. And that'll give you a peace of mind. Your online banking, or when you purchase things and people will put their credit card numbers or debit card numbers when they're purchasing through Amazon, or we've seen Shein.
Yes, of course, And
then Temu. They're all overseas companies that now have your payment information. And those companies, their security is probably not top notch.
Right.
So those can get breached or released, and that's how people get that information. I encourage people that whenever they purchase anything online, do it with a credit card. One, that credit card is not connected to your bank account, so it's not taking money from you personally. Right. It's coming from the bank. And being that you work at a bank, banks are typically protect themselves.
Right.
And in order for you to not have money from your personal account, that's what I encourage people. Use a credit card when they buy anything online. Auto pay with companies. Make sure that these companies are reputable. The less that you have your bank account information online, the less you are susceptible for being victimized.
And another thing is, in this day and age, everything's online. You pay your bills online. Everything, is virtual. So one thing I like to also explain to our members is, you get your statements electronically or in the mail. Some people still prefer the paper statement, but those paper statements are coming into your mailbox. It's got your account number on it. Routing numbers are public. So, make those things secure. Make it to where that those things aren't in your mailbox lying around or in your home just lying around. One thing that I know Ouachita Valley does each year, twice a year actually, is we participate in the Household Hazardous Waste event. And there's several different things that you can come in and dispose of, and it's really more of a going green event. But we sponsor a shredded truck to come to shred all unwanted documents. And there's a lot of people that will come in with boxes that have been lying around their home, and it's got maybe their social security number on it, it's got driver's license numbers, it's got account numbers, and all of that is a risk of becoming a victim of identity theft. If someone grabs your mail and has that information, or a credit card offer that are usually pre-filled out, it's just a risk for our members to become a victim of identity theft. It's so easy nowadays.
Yeah, and on that same note, checks has all your information on it too.
Yes.
Account number, routing number, identification.
Unwanted checks or old checks that they haven't used. We encourage them to come and shred those documents. They can watch it be shredded there on site. So look for those opportunities, for people to come and get rid of those paper documents, old filing papers. Just there's so many things that people can grab with your information on it. Online, it's just, there's just so many risks involved, and we don't want to deter anyone. I mean, that's just the way of life now. Sure. But also know when you're, doing things online, that little lock button in the bottom corner of your screen to make sure that's a secure site. There's so many fraudulent websites out there for people claiming you've won a prize or enter your information here. And as a credit union, I know we will never ask for private information via email. Pick up the phone and call to make sure it's a secure company and a secure transaction before you give that information away.
Yeah.
Another thing that I actually saw on social media is something new with QR codes. And it was someone scanning a QR code to pay to park, which I don't know if we have that here, but just different things. And they were telling you to check the QR code to make sure there's not a sticker on top of that code, because just scanning that QR code, they can take your information immediately. And it's something I never thought about. And I'm like, I scan QR codes all the time, to do a transaction or pay someone. And, that was something I thought about. If it's a QR code, be careful scanning that, because it could be a scam.
It's an easier way for them to skim, like the gas pumps.
Yes.
It's just a skimming method for them to get your information.
And I know that was such a huge topic here in our area, is the gas pumps. Has that slowed down? What can we do to prevent ourselves on that?
I haven't had any instances where I've investigated the skimming devices on the gas pumps. But those devices are made to be easily removable and pretty quick. So if you go to insert your card, you can pull on where you put your card in
to verify that
if it moves in any way, or they got that sticker on it, that if that sticker is not there, or it's slit or whatever, there are ways to tell at a gas pump. But one thing is, you can always just jiggle the little device.
Yes,
there.
just to make sure
it should
go somewhere else.
Exactly.
One more thing that that we're noticing are people are getting calls, and it will, like when the phone rings, it looks like your financial institution is calling. And it just, is so mind blowing to me to know that they have come this far, to be able to, make these phone calls to make it look like that it's coming from your financial institution. And we actually had some, that were calling saying that they were calling from Ouachita Valley, and then they needed our member to verify the last three numbers on the back of the card, or the security code on the back of the card. Is that something that is trending now? Is people calling from?
We see it a lot where they spoofed these numbers to make it look like, so if, let's just say the number saved in your phone and it pops up Ouachita Valley, so you think that you're talking to an actual...
Right.
I always am under the impression that if a bank calls me, I'm going to hang up and I'm going to call a number back that I know, or I'm going to go to the bank myself.
Right.
Talk to somebody.
And that is another thing that's so important, to find a local institution, because I'm still in the mindset of, I want to walk in and see somebody if I have a problem or a question. So it's so important to build those relationships where, you can walk in the door and say, hey, someone just called me. Can you verify this? And 9 times out of 10, they're going to say, no, we didn't call you. Or they'll say, yes, we were calling about this. But I'm with you. Walk in the credit union or the bank or whoever and say, I just need to verify this information, because before you know it, it can happen so quick.
We live in a time now where personal bankers are no longer personal bankers.
Right.
Turnover rate at businesses are bad.
Yes.
So our grandparents knew their bankers. Now we don't know our bankers.
Right.
So I always encourage, go to the bank themselves. I mean, there are plenty of branches. We live in a not so big area.
Right.
So you can drive 10 minutes to the bank to verify. But these scammers are good at being really high pressure on the victims.
And they make it so believable also.
Oh, yeah.
That it's, that you're in a time sensitive time slot and you've got to get this done right now and we need the money,
Yeah.
I was, before we started, you and I were having a conversation about senior citizens. And I feel like they are preyed on because they don't understand, that they are thinking, oh no, someone's got my identity. I need to fix this. And I've seen, with senior crimes, it is, it's so heavy right now in our area with them, affecting our senior citizens because they're not understanding online fraud. They just want to know that their information is secure and, to keep what they've worked hard for all these years. So are you seeing an increase on that as well?
We have a large number of senior citizen crimes. It mainly stems from the internet.
Yes.
No offense to the senior citizens.
Absolutely.
But the internet is moving at such a quick rate that
it's
even difficult for me to keep
Absolutely,
up with it.
Yes.
So, they'll get these emails, phishing emails, where an invoice will pop up, and then they'll say, I didn't do it. They'll contact that phone number, and it's the scammer.
Mm-hmm.
And then they'll say, well, we can cancel it for you. You just give me your credit card information.
Right.
We can refund you. And so they will, and then that's how. Or it even gets to the point where these lottery scams, where they think they won the Publisher Clearinghouse.
Yes.
I've had
We've experienced those. Are they coming in the form of a check? Are they coming in, how is that happening?
Emails.
Okay.
It'll come in as an email. They'll actually send a letter to them also, call this number to receive your prize. And then they'll tell them in order to get your prize, you got to pay shipping and taxes.
Yes.
And that's where it starts. And then if you can't catch it early, it's going to snowball into a really big problem.
Yes.
And what I've seen, it's years that people have been paying.
Absolutely. And, I go back to the saying, if it's too good to be true, it probably is. And that's what we like, for everyone to know is if this seems too good to be true, it probably is. I've also seen the one saying that if you'll put a sticker or a magnet on your car, we'll pay you X number of dollars. Just send us your information so we can deposit it to your account. That's not going to happen.
No. Everybody wants to make a quick buck.
Yes.
Or win some type of big amount of money.
Yes.
But nothing in this world is free.
That's right.
So you got to be careful.
That's right. What are some other, just outside of online scams or what's going on, what are some other things that you can tell us as far as how to protect ourselves or anything else that, that we may not be aware of?
We have a lot of check fraud. A lot of check fraud where people will mail their checks to bill pay or to the bill companies, and they'll get intercepted and washed and rewritten. As much as we all know the information on the check,
right?
But the washing it and then sending it off, and then now the bank's got to fight it.
Yes.
When it gets deposited or cash. I always encourage people, and I don't know, you work for a bank, so
right?
But I say get away from the whole system.
I agree. It is causing so many issues, and not just here locally, but globally, with fraudulent checks and people duplicating things. And so it's just a huge issue here in our area. And, even going, and another thing that I'm seeing is, as far as debit card, when people are saying, hey, you cut my debit card off. Well, we have this, product Card Essentials, and you can turn your card off if it's lost or stolen. But just that's another way of protecting yourself is just making sure that you've got your cards on you at all times, making sure that you're checking your monthly statements to see if there's any charges that you didn't make. Call on those immediately. Because if it's months down the road, there's only so much that can be done.
Yeah.
But just checking behind yourself and just making sure that you've got all of your information with you. With products that we have, such as Card Essentials, you can go in, freeze your card and do all of the things. And that's just what I want to encourage our members is, just to be on top of things, check your statements, check your account balances, and just to know if something's wrong, make sure that you call immediately.
Absolutely. Yeah. The number one person to protect yourself is yourself.
Yes.
And so if you're not doing the things that you need to do to protect yourself, then it makes you easier to be a victim.
Right.
And so I say freeze your credit, monitor your bank.
Then there are so many, credit reporting apps that you can use now. Like we have one, and it's Credit Sense, and it's very similar to the Credit Karma, but it's structured to you personally at your Ouachita Valley account. and it gives you any updates. It gives you a detailed message every day saying this is where your credit score is, this is your account balances. So it's so easy to go in and just check that. You don't have to check it daily, but it's there every day if they want to come in and check it. So I think it's responsibility too on the individual to check these things and do your yearly credit report. I know you get a free credit report each year through freeannualcreditreport.com. Do you think those are safe to use?
I think so. I use Credit Karma.
Yes.
I always monitor my stuff through Credit Karma, which my stuff's frozen too, so I shouldn't have any inquiries on mine. Also, what I like that Ouachita Valley had done is the text. Once you buy something, it texts.
Yes.
And my wife will get the text every time I use something.
Sometimes it's going off too much, right?
So I can't spend money without her knowing.
Yes.
But yeah, I like that. But that's also how some of the scammers have been able to victimize these people, is they'll send the texts out themselves. So there's good and bad to it. It always goes back to knowing your banker.
Yes. And building those relationships.
Have that person that you can call and say, is this real?
Yes. Yes. Now, let me say, I know we're just now in February, but summer vacations are coming. People are going to start traveling a little bit. What about traveling? Do you have any suggestions as far as families when they're going on vacations and traveling? Any advice you want to give?
I'm a big cash guy when I travel, so the less I can swipe my card, the better.
Right.
But if you do travel and decide to use a card, use a credit card.
Okay.
I'm big on using a credit card for everything in your life.
Yes.
And not so much for your debit card.
Yes.
Because the debit card, and like I said earlier, is linked to your bank account. The credit card's not.
And that's why it's important if you're using that debit card, because I'm a debit card user, but if you use that debit card, and I also have a teen, so it's swiping constantly, and him having the card, and Mom, I can't find my card. Well, we can go on, we can lock the card immediately. But, that's why it's important to check those monthly statements, and now with online banking, you can get on there right at the palm of your hand and check everything you need right there from your mobile app. So that's another reason why I just want to reiterate, checking your statements, checking your balances. If you've got, things laying around the house, like we talked about, get rid of those unwanted documents, just make sure you're doing your part to stay on top of it.
Yes.
Yeah.
I've had identity theft cases where burglaries in a house where they've obtained that personal information.
Really? Wow.
So yeah, you protect yourself, have a safe.
Yes.
Secure your safe against the wall so it can be easily removed.
Yes.
And have your personal documents of that if you choose to keep them there.
And we don't want to scare everybody and tell them, don't swipe a card, don't do this.
That's the bad part.
You've got to live, right?
I always come in and I talk to people, and I feel like I'm the bad guy telling them what they can't, they shouldn't do.
But, if you've been affected by any kind of fraud or identity theft, you understand it takes years sometimes to get these things taken off your credit report, to get them fixed, and sometimes quite expensive.
Yes.
So we just want to make sure that everybody's doing their part, and taking control of their own, responsibilities. But if it does happen to you, there is help.
Yes. And that's what I say. And then I'll tell people the questions about freezing your credit. It says, what about building credit?
Right.
You can still build credit if you freeze it. It just stops the new stuff from coming in. And then if you want to say you're going to apply for a credit card or go purchase a vehicle, it's as easy as you've created that account with the 3 credit bureaus. To freeze it, you just log into it, unfreeze it,
allow those transactions to go. Yes.
And then refreeze it once you're done with it. And that I think that's going to be the number one way that people can protect themselves.
Absolutely. Well, I really appreciate you coming on and kind of giving us insight, from your side. Before we close, what's the one piece of advice you would like to give everybody as far as how to protect themselves?
If it's too good to be true, it is.
Yeah.
That businesses aren't going to require you to pay them via Bitcoin.
Right.
I've seen a bunch of that.
Yeah. Can you elaborate on that for just a second and kind of tell us what's going on in it?
Bitcoin, we have these ATMs set up at the gas station.
I've seen those.
Where the suspects just say, here's a QR code, scan that at that, and that's where you put your money in. And a lot of the times it's them saying your bank account has been hacked. In order to protect your money, we want you to put it in the Bitcoin, and then we'll have an account for you, and when everything's safe, we'll give it back to you. And that's not the case. Once the money's in there, it's gone.
And everyone's looking at a way to make fast money.
And we're trying to catch up to to Bitcoin.
Yes.
And a lot of the cases that I have come across with the Bitcoin all goes overseas. So yeah, gift cards with the elderly,
Yes.
or any type of gift card scam, that if they're saying that, you need to pay us through a gift card, just know that that's a scam.
Yes. They're going to get the gift cards and you'll never hear from them again.
They're so good, they have a Google map of the area and they're telling them exactly what store to go to.
Wow.
Because now these companies are starting to catch up, saying you can only buy 2 gift cards at one time. So they say you buy 2 here and then go to the next store down the street, buy 2 more.
And see, we're seeing a lot of that as well as the gift card. And sometimes, they're scaring these people into saying, if you don't do this, this is going to happen.
Absolutely.
What would your advice be if someone were to call and say that to you? What would you tell them?
Let's just say, for instance, somebody calls them and says, you have a warrant out for your arrest and you pay us through a gift card and we'll cancel your warrant. Well, the simplest thing is to call your local law enforcement.
Yes.
And say, hey, do I have a warrant? And we'll tell them quickly, no, it's a scam. Once we start seeing these type of scams come up, even the sheriff's office will put, announcements out on Facebook. Hey, we're seeing this.
And we have seen those. And we try to also educate, through our social media, that we will never call, text, email, there's private information, as well as any reputable company. They're not going to do that.
Yes.
So it goes back again to just pick up the phone, have a conversation, or just stop by and ask, before it's too late.
And another big things that we're seeing is a lot of Facebook Marketplace scams.
Okay.
That's nothing. I would put less than 20% of anything on Facebook Marketplace is actually legit.
Wow.
So be careful with buying stuff off of Facebook Marketplace. If they're wanting a deposit before you actually get the product or see the product, just be careful that it may be a scam as well.
And usually I've seen that coming from things like Cash App.
Cash App.
Yes.
Exactly.
Yeah, Cash App, it's just not, we try to deter, and a lot of our young ones are going to Cash App because it's easy and, they can get the debit card instantly.
Don't give any money unless the product is right in front of you.
Yes.
And then if you do meet somebody.
And that's another,
in a safe place.
I was fixing to say, that's a whole nother, situation is, hey, meet me here. And I do know throughout our community, I believe there are some setup points throughout the community as far as Marketplace. I've seen that. I think the West Monroe Police Department is one.
It's always a good place.
Yes.
Meet me in the parking lot of the police department. And if it's somebody trying to take advantage of you, then they're going to not meet up.
Right.
So it's also a good way of knowing that, you probably shouldn't be dealing with these people.
Right. Well, that's real. It's a sad situation, that we live in, that so much of this and has increased so much, where, before everything was electronic, you probably didn't see as much, as you do now, but everybody is relieved because they have convenience. Well, with convenience comes risk.
Yes.
So you just have to, you have to kind of weigh your options and just be smart in these, situations, and just pick up the phone and verify.
Limit the amount of information you have personally on the internet.
Yes.
That'll help you.
That is amazing. Well, Carey, thank you so much for all the knowledge and everything that you shared with us today. And if you have any questions, call Ouachita Valley Federal Credit Union, call the Sheriff's Department. Again, Carey, thank you so much. And we appreciate having you.
Oh, yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Thank you.